So, next up, we're going to be talking about leveraging external services to scale with your game. Every game developer dreams about hitting that top spot in all of the charts. But that inevitably comes with some unforeseen headaches for developers trying to do it all on their own. We bring together experts who are providing gaming companies the critical infrastructure they need to scale when demand is high. To discuss this topic, we have the Head of Product Innovation of Globe Group, Eprom Galang, joined by Andrew Veranges, APAC VP of Sales and General Manager of Block Damon, and Bobby Bhatia, CEO and co-founder of Tashi Protocol.
Good afternoon, everyone. Hope you guys are having a good afternoon so far. I'm Eprom. I've been working in the crypto industry since 2014. Recently, I've joined Globe. As you can see, we're now referring to ourselves as the Globe Group. As to previously, we referred to ourselves as Globe Telecom. So this is part of our initiative to bring awareness that we're more than just a telco company now. We're transitioning into a techco. We have a wide variety of portfolio companies. So to complement our big 55 million user base for Globe as the telecom, we also have portfolio companies, and most popularly Gcash, with now about 80 million users. So with that, you can imagine that we're working on a lot of things to support that scale. And we're not building everything and working on everything in-house to support that much scale. We do leverage external parties. And the same story is also true for Web3 Gaming. And it's a good thing that today I'm joined by two heavy hitters in that industry. So to start off, I'd like you both to introduce yourselves and let us know how you got started into crypto and Web3. Maybe Bobby, we can start with you.
Sure. By the way, thank you to YGG, and great to be here. I got involved in crypto, I would say 2011. So it was actually pretty early on, early days. What actually got us in the whole game was we were actually doing a lot of development work for Layer 1 protocols. So that actually gave us a great insight. So, you know, whether it was Hashgraph, Cardano, Polkadot, Ethereum for that matter. So really got involved and trying to understand the basics of it. The investing side came much later in 2015. So, you know, been around there for, around the hoop, as you call it, for 15 years. So
we have a true OG over here. Andrew?
Yeah, so, you know, I've got a little bit different background. Like, I'm a tech infrastructure guy. I'm Australian. I still think I have a heavy Australian accent. Otherwise, some people are debating that with me because I've been in Singapore a while now. But, you know, I've run telco, data center line of business and infrastructure for banks, financial services in Australia. I've spent time in IT. I've spent some time in Cisco systems. I've spent some time in AWS. So from my perspective, I'm always looking for what's next. So I've done telco, I've done IT, I've done cloud, internet. So you know, I was really excited to do something in the blockchain space at the infrastructure level. So you know, that's what I do at Block Demon. We're like the largest blockchain infrastructure Web3 company you've probably never heard of, right? Because what we do is we supply infrastructure to protocols, foundations. You know, we support over 60 protocols, well over 100,000 nodes under management. And we support large crypto native companies, large digital native companies. We're coming into gaming and also traditional kind of enterprises that want to use public protocol. And so I got into crypto, you know, about 4 years ago, you know, just with a bunch of friends, real curiosity, mainly around Bitcoin and ETH, right? I'm not a trader, I'm not a finance person. So for me, it just looked like something I needed to learn as a technology. Yeah. So yeah, that's how I'm here.
Yeah, and Andrew and I were talking earlier. It's an interesting fact that while he was in AWS, he helped two of the big exchanges here get into AWS as well. So maybe Bobby, can you tell us more about Tashi Protocol and how it's helping games in terms of scale?
Sure, absolutely. So listen, even in the earlier panels, we were discussing that, building multiplayer games is not easy, right? It's actually quite difficult. So, you have to know, whether you're building on Unity, are you building on Unreal? You have the physics engine of Photon, for example. So there's a lot of complexity. Till date, Web3 has been limited, Web3 gaming has been limited with the kind of throughput the infrastructure can support, right? So we started off, let's think about Ethereum with like 15, 20 transactions, going all the way up to Solana that says, they can do 20, 25,000 transactions. And then, on the Ethereum side, you're doing what are known as ZK rollups and a bunch of these things, but we're still not there. We're still, what we identified that we needed to have a blazing fast infrastructure layer in order to then encourage more game genres. So one of the biggest things is Web2 gaming guys look at Web3 gaming guys and go, that's not gaming. That's just trading. That's not even a game. So really what we'd actually built was taking the hashgraph algorithm, rewriting it in Rust, and now we support 1 million transactions per second with 30 milliseconds of latency, which means other than first-person shooter, every other game genre can be built on Tashi in a completely serverless manner, in a decentralized manner. So that's what we've built.
That's big, not even for just gaming. That amount of throughput that you can support, that's actually really amazing. And to have that to support blockchain gaming is really big. Now, Andrew, I think you would also have that perspective in using traditional systems and, proven systems to support these blockchain gamings. Can you tell us more about how Blockdaemon helps with that?
Yeah, and firstly I want to say what Bobby's saying here resonates with us. Like, games come to us when they have throughput problems. That's when we start talking to game shops, gaming developers, etc. So it's super exciting to hear what you're doing at Tashi, and like we need to talk offline. But so like, in the gaming market, what we can talk about is a couple of case studies and examples. One of them's in Korea. There's a well-known gaming company called WeMade. It's been around 20 years, and its CEO's really wanted to move into blockchain gaming because he believes in the vision of ownership of in-game items, having them tradable, potentially down the line having a marketplace. Like that's, he believes in the outcome that blockchain can deliver. Maybe blockchain would be something else for him, it could be replaced, but he wants his users to have that as an option, right? So that's what's really important. So we've worked with them on like, how do you build a blockchain? Like, we white label a lot of that infrastructure back to them, but also then to their partners. We help them with the validator set and building the governance frameworks as well. We also help them when they have very large enterprise that, are a great company and logo, but maybe you don't want them to actually be running the validator. So we white label back to them. And then, so that's, that's our journey and one example with WeMade. And then what happens is, as a game lands on the chain, WeMade will say, hey, these guys are scaling, they're starting to struggle, they need help. Can you go talk to them? So then we start helping individual gaming studios on a specific chain. And we've started then to repeat that journey again with other gaming protocols. But we also run things like, we're a large Solana runner, right? So, you can see how that sort of gaming dedicated chain and gaming adjacent kind of chain story will play out. And that's how Blockdaemon's got into the gaming space. Yep.
Yeah, I think that helps, sort of an identity crisis when you're building a Web3 game. Are you a blockchain company or a gaming company? But at least both of these platforms help these game developers really focus on the gaming aspect. And Bobby, you mentioned that I'm sure there's a lot of gamers here with the audience with us. Sometimes we hear Web2 gamers they don't give Web3 games that respect. What can Web3 games learn from the success of Web2?
Listen, I mean, I mean, that's a very broad question. So obviously, the Web2 gamers, you know, everybody jokes around. For everybody who dies, you know, there's a gamer born every day, right? So you have, that's the majority of the people. It's a $200 billion market that's growing at, you know, close to 70% CAGR. But one of the key things I want to address with the blockchain is that there's certain algorithms, and you know, one of the big problems in Web2 gaming has been cheating. A lot of the games, you know, are just the way they work, right? And also projecting, you know, with an AWS server, where am I going to put the servers? Every time, you know, you move left, I jump, he moves right. We're locking up egress cost, right? Number two. Number three, if we have any political issues in the world, like a Taiwan situation, China situation, or, you know, for that matter, COVID, where's the GPU capacity? We keep talking about metaverses. We talk about all of this infrastructure. So for us, when we started looking at blockchain, you know, it wasn't the NFT part, it wasn't the crypto part, but we really took it from, hey, are there some anti-cheat features here? Yeah. Can it help us reduce cost? Yep. You know, is there a lot of wastage on compute today? Oh, one of the big applications, guys, is going to be, you know what the Web2 gaming guys are all asking about, is ad networks. You have GDPR and COPA compliance today. So basically, GDPR is, are you over 18, under 18? COPA is, are you over 13, under 13? Which then determines what kind of ads I can push to you. But now what we're doing is, one of the products we're coming out is zero knowledge proofs, where you as a gaming company don't have to own the PII data.
Okay.
So you don't have the PII data, so I'm taking that whole liability off of you, and there's a zero knowledge proof. So just so you guys know what a zero knowledge proof is imagine if I had to take your driver's license, right? I don't need all of the information. All I need to know is, do you have the right to drive or not? That's a zero knowledge proof. So as long as I know you're over 13, under 13, you're going to see the blockchain, especially on the ad networks, with especially also Superfine. This is going to be a real use case that's going to be coming up.
Yep. So you touched on two important things there. You talked about fairness, which, you know, is a very interesting use case, and you leverage blockchain for that as well. And you, taking away, you know, a lot of people don't think about compliance too much when they're building applications. It is a big pain in the ass. I think that speaks to, you know, what you guys saw on Twitter the past few hours. Andrew, you want to add something to that?
Yeah, I genuinely think it's such an exciting time as an infrastructure guy. Like, it's getting there right about now. And we're like all of these innovations that Bobby is talking about, what we're seeing, you know, we have a really, really interesting view on transactions and throughputs and chains and all of that. So we just think the environment for game developers now is just nearly perfect. You know, I think one thing we're thinking deeply about is, like, you know, MPC and key management, and bringing, you know, very high-end institutional security to the gaming market, but not make it look like, you know, anything that you would, you know, see from an institutional wallet or any of those functionality. So we've been thinking about that a lot as well. We have one solution called Build a Vault, and basically it's a MPC SDK, which is a multi-party computation software development kit, so very technical, but it's enabling, and we're starting to see gaming developers utilize that sort of technology underneath, but also make it transparent, which I think is fantastic. So there's no seed phrase, all of that starts to melt away, and it's back to usability, fun experience. So, you know, we've got some announcements coming down the line around that sort of technology use cases, because historically that sort of high-end tech was just going into banks or crypto exchanges or, you know, high-end crypto native or very large enterprise. So we're actually excited about that as well. And that's going to come back to the safety element. Yep. People can have confidence in the gaming wallets because they've got high-end security, but it's not, you know, the complexity is melting away.
Yeah, and for the non-technical folks in the room, I think what you guys talked about a lot of deep technical stuff there, but I think the important aspect on what you can envision from what Andrew just mentioned, imagine gaming, Web3 gaming, but not having to have a MetaMask or a third-party wallet to start playing. That's actually a huge barrier that you guys would be helping out with. So we don't have a lot of time left, but I'd like to hear from you guys. What technologies or what are you guys looking forward to in terms of innovation that's coming to Web3 in the next coming years?
So I think one of the biggest things that I'm looking at is identity. So identity is very, very important because at one level, I want to be anonymous, but another level, I want to be discoverable. So first, balancing those equations out is going to be something that we're really looking forward to. The second big piece is right now with the whole NFTs, for example, we had to store them on IPFS. Now, how do you, if you're logging on with what I call a pseudo-anonymous wallet, which is MetaMask, how do I get the legal ownership? How do I get attribution? How do I get the provenance? So ultimately, if people have to trust and buy something and it's a high value asset, I have to be able to control it. I have to have legal ownership on it. So I think we are starting to address some of those issues. And as we start to address those issues, in addition to speed and infrastructure, that's really going to help push the Web3 market forward.
Yeah, and I think from my side, and I would say, yeah, the two things, the technology advancements and just kind of summing up what we're all talking about, but also the simplification of it all. We know you don't hit mass adoption until things are simpler, easier, more consumable, more friendly. You know, you don't have to read a 1,000-page instruction book. So I think these technologies across the board are getting sophisticated, but also simpler to interact with at the same time, which is actually a really exciting combination.
Awesome. So I'd love to ask you guys more questions. That you guys are definitely working on a lot of exciting stuff. So if you guys are building games, you should definitely hit up both Bobby and Andrew here. We'll all be here throughout the afternoon. So thank you guys for listening.
Thank you.